Good
Hi,
morning, Shima
Deepa.
ji,
Good
and
morning.
welcome to a podcast of Outlook Responsible Travel. And it is so good to see you here
Thank you. Thank
after
you for inviting me to join.
a long time.
Yes, yes.
So, how have you been? How are things at your end?
I've been good. We've had a really busy and really hectic season,
Yeah,
meaning starting from last October,
correct.
and things kind of wound down in April. And then now we are taking May and June a bit easy.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a great season, and it's so good to hear, when properties, homestays like you say that it's been a great season, it's been hectic. अच्छा लगता है to hear that.
It's from the support of all our well-wishers that we are where we are.
Yeah, no, but Sarban is such a home. I know it sounds cliched, but a home away from home. Like I was looking at the
Mm.
website also yesterday and I was just drooling. I was like, oh my God, because I've seen it from the outside and the whole Sal patch is just gorgeous, like it's a forest in
Yeah,
itself.
yeah, we
But
are really blessed to have the forest touching our boundary, meaning we have the core
yeah.
zone actually touching our boundary.
Oh, wow. I didn't
Yes,
know that.
yes, yes.
Oh wow, lovely. So
Mm.
Shimaji, how did this come around? How did you and Champanji think
Mm.
of settling in
Mm.
Kanha, and why Salban?
So see, as you know, we were both professionals in Delhi
Right.
and we had been living in Delhi for the last 24, 25 years. But for both of us in our mind, we were very sure that we will not retire into Delhi city.
Right.
And as the years were passing, Delhi was getting more polluted, traffic jams, problems, all sorts of things. So we were very sure in our mind we are leaving very soon. you know.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you must be knowing that Jampan has always been associated with wildlife conservation and wildlife projects. So he used to travel a lot in the forest.
Yeah.
And long ago, in 2005, he bought this patch of land in Kanha. So,
Okay.
yeah. So we had just bought it, registered it, and left it like that.
Yeah.
And because we bought it so long ago, we were lucky enough to be able to buy and also build a home so close to
Yeah.
the core zone, meaning the
Yeah.
rules allowed it.
Yeah.
And though we didn't build, we decided to leave Delhi in 2015. And
Right.
once we decided, it was like all pakka and signed and sealed. We gave up our Delhi house, just came to Kanha, and within 1 year, we built the house and we settled down, meaning it was our 12-month residence now in Kanha. And
Oh wow.
initially, the very first, when we built our dream home. We didn't build
Yeah.
a homestay or anything. But it was just the two of us. Children were working, they had left home. And we thought, what will we do? Meaning, we'll really get bored. So the homestay idea developed.
Yeah.
And to tell you the truth, MP Tourism Homestay, they really pushed us, they really encouraged us. And they said register and start off and all that. So we got more inspired and we just started. In
Correct.
2017, we were like launched and
Oh
functional.
wow. Wow.
Yeah.
But it must have been challenging. I mean, working with the locals in the landscape and
No,
understanding the landscape.
Bhavna, I'll tell you, it was not challenging. Meaning, for both
Really?
Champan and me, things grew so organically and so beautifully around us. We never
Yeah.
faced any resistance or we didn't have any doubts in our mind about anything. Uh, Luckily, where we live, people are very gentle, very welcoming, very cooperative.
Yeah.
And to me, that was like half the battle won. Yeah. So when we built the house, for instance, all the villagers came to build. They all want employment. So they were all
Yeah.
involved in the construction. And then slowly, slowly, the ones who were closest to us, who are our neighbors, we realized that they will only work for us because they all want full-time employment. So the man closest and who was very involved in the construction became our chowkidar. And he was a pillar. Like he helped us so much.
Yeah.
Then slowly, slowly, he got his relatives and his son and son's wife, and so the team was built up.
An entire ecosystem. Yeah.
Yeah, and we were just too happy to give employment to people
Yeah.
closest to us.
Of
We
course.
never thought of getting stuff from outside.
Yeah.
So,
So that, I think that's what sets Salban apart, because a lot of people say it's difficult working with local communities, but I think all
oh,
of your staff are locals. I
yes,
mean, you've not looked
100%.
outside.
100% are locals, and out of, I would say, 90% are Gond, and
Wow.
meaning, and they are all from the nearby village. Absolutely. Yeah.
And despite them being such a shy tribal group, you
No,
managed to
I would
work.
not say that anymore.
They're not shy.
Most of them are educated, they've joined the mainstream, and they're all looking for employment. And
Right.
Kanha has become a tourism hub, so that
Yeah.
culture is there. And
Yeah.
they're
They're
very
more
aware.
touched by tourism and
They're very
more
aware of
exposure.
what their jobs are. They know terms like housekeeping, or they take pride in being the cook, and they know
Ah,
exactly what the roles are
yeah.
in the hospitality industry. Yeah.
We'll of course come to the cooking, which is like when I was seeing pictures and I've heard of Jampanji's roast chicken, famous roast chicken. But I
That
would
became famous because of the website photo.
no, it looks like a lot of people have told me that it's absolutely scrumptious. And you're baking. You've also been involved in conservation, because when
Hmm.
the first all women canteen was opened up in Muki, you were instrumental in teaching them how to bake. Uh,
You remember, huh?
Yeah, they made so many
Yeah.
dishes with your help.
Hmm.
But before we dive into the cooking and food, which is my favorite, the garden. Like you've spoken about the core area, how Salban is
Yeah.
right next to the core. Can you tell us a little bit so that about the landscape,
Hmm.
which can tell our guests of more?
Yeah. So we have a total of 11 acres of land, and
Right.
most of it, I would say, was not fully green, huh? Because it used to be somebody's agricultural patch, but it was
Yeah.
being unused. The surroundings are green. We have a lot of sal forest on the borders, and
Right.
little bit of our land, we have sal forest. But in our land, we have some majestic mahua trees and some old trees. But the rest of the area, I would say the credit goes to Jampan because he is so into
Wow.
trees and plants and getting all the indigenous trees. He would go from nursery to nursery. He
Yeah.
would bring saplings, plant them. And, we, we don't have any outside trees. We don't even have gulmohar and things like that because that is not local Kanha
Yeah.
trees. So we have all the indigenous trees. And once you fence off a land and the cattle are not coming in to graze, and once there is enough water and the water table is good, the place just revives.
Yeah.
So once, just by chance, one of my Google photos of 2016 came up of our land, and it was
Right.
so barren, compared to what it is now. Meaning
Hmm.
now it's a patch of green. Like once we had done drone photography, and it was looking so green and beautiful now. But it's
Wow.
just the forest coming back.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah,
absolutely. Like you let nature be, and she like
yes,
takes takes
exactly,
leadership
exactly.
and comes back.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
And
And
we kept a little bit of land for agriculture, but not too much, meaning we just grow rice and wheat for home consumption, for the homestay guests and for ourselves. And we have this thing of reviving old grains and all, going around looking for the old rice seeds and the
right.
local MP gehu, which is very famous.
Oh, nice.
So just 1 or 2 acres, we do agriculture. And we've planted mango trees, we've planted citrus and some other fruit trees. And mahua is really, meaning the old mahua trees really serve us well. Meaning you can discuss about my food using mahua later.
Of course, please.
Yeah,
We would
yeah,
love to hear that. I mean, I'm
yeah,
sure that knowing you and Jampanji, you're very particular about having locally sourced vegetables or from your own garden for that matter.
yeah,
So,
yeah.
could you tell us a little bit about the traditional foods that people could possibly indulge in when they come to Salpan?
Uh-huh. So see, in Salban, I would say the food is actually characterized by what Jhampan and I enjoy eating and serving. Enjoy
Right,
feeding, I would say, feeding
right,
others. We use local food in the sense that we use local ingredients, local produce, but we make that into very modern global food also.
okay,
Like I love Okay, so coming to Mahua, you must be knowing the flowers are dried up, no? Meaning once
Yes.
in the season is only 6 weeks. And at that time, these sweet, luscious flowers just fall to the ground. You pick them up and you sun dry them. And they become like raisins, very sweet
Right.
raisins.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Correct.
So I have made a variety of things with these mahua raisins. Like I use it in baking, of course, in cakes and cookies and kheer. I put it into one very local indigenous food I make is I use millet for kheer, kodo
Okay.
millet, and I put the mahua raisins in it. And I use
Arey,
good.
wow.
Yeah, so that is one of the biggest hits, for desserts. Um,
Yeah.
then another mahua product that I make is mahua syrup or treacle. I call it treacle. So we take out that sweet fresh juice from the flower and then we
Okay.
strain it and we slow cook it till it becomes a brown syrupy liquid. And it's
Right.
delicious. It is like you can't compare it to anything, like that liquid gourd and all. Like it's nothing like that. It's just
Yeah.
mahua flavor, the flower flavor. Huh? Meaning most people think of the alcohol when they say mahua,
Yeah.
but I'm talking about the non-alcoholic produce.
Yeah.
So this
Yeah.
treacle,
Absolutely.
yeah, this treacle we put over desserts, all our, I make a thing called bhapa doi, which is our Bengali version of a steamed yogurt. And then I
Okay.
put mahua treacle over it. Then we serve it over ice cream, we serve it over pancakes, things like that. Uh,
Yum. My mouth is watering. So nothing is so because when you go to resorts, unfortunately, a lot of these modern dishes are served like pizza, burger from the city. It just finds its way into forests as well, which is unfortunate at this point. But it's great to hear that Salvan is using all locally sourced
Yeah,
materials,
yeah.
resources. You're not wasting anything, also.
No, we don't. Meaning we forage a lot of green leaves, sag, all the local sags, especially
Right.
in monsoons. Then we get mushrooms in the monsoons. Unfortunately, it's off season, so we can't show it off to our guests. But nowadays, we've started freezing those mushrooms. We butter fry them and we just freeze
Oh,
them. So this is
yum.
like straight out of the forest. They grow on termite mounds. They grow on
Correct.
sal trees. So these are the things we use, the local produce.
So Shimaji, you spoke about guests and what grows in the garden. So what are some of the experiences that guests can undertake when they're with you? Foraging or visiting a village. What are the different experiences they can undertake?
Yeah. So I would say just coming and living in a home which is set in a forest, that is an experience in itself.
True.
Very few people live surrounded by forest like this, so directly. And
True.
what they are experiencing is a village which is not only a village, it's a remote forest village.
Hmm.
The ethos is very different. Uh,
Yeah.
So guests immediately come and they're just charmed by the remoteness, and the peace and the quiet and the
Yeah.
lack of electric lights around. Of course, we do have electric lights, but meaning the city lights and all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, so that is one very special and exclusive experience, which people just say this is enough. Meaning we are doing forest breathing. We are just
Yeah.
sitting on a veranda and we are soaking in the forest. And
Yeah.
they just sit and do bird watching from our veranda itself because it is just,
Wow.
we have shamas coming and sitting in the veranda. We have like
Wow.
at a time you can see about 25, 30 species of birds, just sitting
Yeah.
at the breakfast table. So
Yeah.
chilling in our veranda is like a daily activity. Seriously.
Armchair.
Ah,
Reclining in the armchair and bird watching.
okay.
Right.
Apart from that, now activity, we hate it when guests inquire, what is your package and what activity package can you give? Because we are
Right.
not those type of hosts. We
Yeah.
do not package things. So we want experiences to be as natural as possible.
Correct.
So there are very beautiful natural walks where guests can go. Behind our house, there's a very pretty lake.
Oh
So
wow.
and it's such a private, peaceful lake. We kind of feel it's our own lake, though it is the village lake, of course. So guests go for beautiful walks around that lake. You can see the beautiful sunset sky, orange skies, and it's very pretty. Then when you walk down the village road, meaning, we do not do those specific village visits. Uh,
Okay.
Personally, we do not like to be intrusive. We don't like to just go and walk into a village home and say, "इनको देखना है," and
Yeah.
"बताइए आप क्या करते हैं," and all.
Absolutely.
An invasion of privacy, of people.
Right.
So we encourage guests to just walk down the village road up to the lake. There's another larger lake behind. So
Okay.
when they're walking down the village road, they will see farmers in the field. They will see people, the women and doing their daily work. They will see the cattle. They will see the what crops are growing, all that. So we encourage
Right.
them to experience village life in that way. And as you know, Bhavna, there's this very cute Bega hamlet behind our house called Bandha Tola. So
Correct.
a walk just through the road of Bandha Tola is the best village walk you
It
can do.
is. It's a beautiful village. I
Yeah,
completely
yeah.
agree.
So that is one activity, though we do not call it an activity, but it is something guests enjoy doing. Then, of course, that safaris are the prime thing
Yeah.
for people who are coming.
Yeah.
And our guests are very serious nature lovers and wildlife lovers. We don't attract the party going crowd or, that family get together kind of large families coming. We don't attract that kind of crowd. We generally attract nature lovers, wildlife lovers. So our guests go for many safaris. We have professional photographers, we have amateur photographers who are extremely serious. We have people who want to sit and discuss wildlife with Jhampan. They want to know about conservation issues, about the environment. So all
Of
our
course.
conversations are very animated. And then,
Yeah.
we very big library. So they go and read in the library.
Oh,
They
yeah.
go to all the wildlife books, the natural history books, as well as
Yeah.
my collection of books, which are other varied subjects. So people just love, lingering in our upstairs library also.
How lovely.
Yeah, so that is how the time passes.
It's amazing, Shimaji, like the way you're now I realize why the love for nature and the house and the garden and cooking is seeped down to your children as well. It's lovely that, one of them is a
Yeah,
naturalist now and one is actually
a chef.
exploring the
Yeah.
concept. Yeah, that's amazing.
I know.
So
So
growing up, were they at Salban itself?
no, no, we shifted in 2016.
Ah,
They were
right,
grown
right,
ups by then.
right.
But
But they still had it.
yes, but my daughter has got the love for wildlife and she's into wildlife tourism. And my son has got the love for food and now he's a very well-known chef. Yeah.
So a little bit of both of you.
Yes. Yes.
But what about guest experiences? We hear about wonderful anecdotes, and sometimes it's of course challenging when guests come in. What is one of your favorite stories or your favorite guest experiences?
I never find any guests challenging. Meaning, till now, we have always had such interesting, such
That's
varied
amazing.
guests, different countries, different cities of India, even small towns of India, but they are all amazing people and wonderful people. So, rather than, I think it is a benefit for Jhampan and me. We have so many people. We have a very rich social life sitting in Kanha, interesting conversations. Such,
Yeah.
people from different countries, like right from Tasmania to Australia,
Wow.
Europe, USA, so of course, like we just have guests from every country, sort of, and you just get to know what is bringing them to India, why they are coming here.
Yeah.
They enjoy living in an Indian home. And nowadays, homestays have really picked up, Bhavna. People
Yeah.
are very serious. I always ask my guests that, we never go through any marketing agency. We've never done that. So I'm curious to know how my guests have booked Salban. And they always
Right.
say that we specifically search for a homestay. So they want
Oh,
the
okay.
experience. Yeah.
That's wonderful. That's unexpected, actually.
No, no, it isn't. Now
No?
homestays have become very in and very. We have people who, in their normal life, meaning I'm not taking names and I'm not boasting, but we do have people who do very luxury and very high level travel in other, like if they go to Europe, they'll stay in a very luxurious hotel and all. But
Right.
they choose to come to a homestay to experience what a homestay is, you know.
That's very heartening to hear.
And I think all homestay owners should have that confidence. And I think they do, meaning now the homestay movement has picked up very largely.
Hmm.
And people are
Yeah.
very home proud. You know, they do want to share their homes with people, with
I
others.
think it's also become experiential. Like people want to experience
Yes,
different,
yes, yes.
uh, unconventional travel beyond safaris. It's
Also,
become a,
people don't want that very, anonymous hotel kind of experience. They don't want the curtains drawn all the time and the AC on all the time. They
yeah,
want to see their surroundings. They want to breathe in fresh air.
that's great.
They want to eat home cooked food.
I think it's a huge
Hotel food
opportunity.
becomes very, sort of
Yeah,
anonymous after a point.
yeah, and I think it's a great
Characterless.
opportunity to build a climate change resilience through homestays, through tourism also, if people opt
Yes,
for
of course,
local.
meaning homestays should, they are a major part of responsible tourism.
Yeah,
Meaning it
absolutely.
should be given a lot of importance and people should go more and more for small, rather
Yeah,
than large resorts and large establishments. Meaning that's
yeah,
the first tenet of responsible tourism, to go small and
yeah,
local. So
absolutely.
homestays like embody that principle, you know.
Absolutely. Less waste, more
Yeah,
personal experience,
yeah,
more attention to detail. So many things I think it can
yes, yes,
embody.
yes.
Yeah. But speaking like of homestays, of you said that it's a big concept now. What would be your message as someone who is a veteran in this space to other people wanting to build a homestay? One, two,
Uh-huh.
to guests wanting to visit homestays.
Yeah. So, to other people wanting to start homestays, I would encourage them fully. And I would say that just go for it in a very genuine way. Put in your genuine feelings, genuine hospitality. Don't be formal. Don't worry about, are the curtains matching the sheets and things like that. Don't create a hotel atmosphere. Just make it homely and like your home. And that is the thing to success. Meaning, why people love coming to Salban is the simplicity, and the welcoming homeliness, that's it. So people who want to start homestays should just be proud of their homes, their food,
Yeah.
their culture, and just open up their homes to others,
That's beautiful. That's
and share.
beautiful.
And to travelers wanting to, of course, the first message to travelers is please go the responsible route when it comes to travel. Think of sustainability, think of the ecology, and think of the environment. And do select homestays, select small local hotels or homestays, and try and, sort of scale down your expectations to some extent, meaning you might have to compromise, might be a little warm, there may not be AC maybe in some homestays. Use the fan, enjoy the outside breeze, go and sit in the veranda, enjoy nature, or enjoy wherever you are staying in a homestay, enjoy the natural surroundings
Yeah.
and blend in with the culture, enjoy the culture of that place.
Yeah. Adapt like
Uh,
animals do.
No, it's
Adapt like
not.
nature.
Sorry.
Adapt to nature. Adapt like nature.
Yeah,
Why
no, there
stand
would be
out?
homestays in cities also, meaning there are kinds and kinds of homestays. But keep an open mind and
Yeah.
people, their lives and see how they lead their lives. Meaning that's one
Absolutely.
of the most interesting parts of travel.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
What a beautiful conversation, Shimaji. Thank you so much for
I
your
enjoyed
time.
talking to you also.
Anything you would like to add in the end before we end?
No, I think we've covered mainly everything. One thing I just wanted to add was also, we have a very large homestay group, MP Tourism Homestay Group, and we do discuss with each other things. Some people get very worried about how to market their homestays. And
Right.
they even get exploited by marketing agencies or by, insincere parties who. I would say that the best way to market your homestay is your sincerity and be confident that people will come back to you. You will build up a loyal client base if you give them your best and you don't feel nervous or put on a kind of, formal face. Like,
Yeah.
just be welcoming, treat them like family, and you will just succeed.
Oh, lovely. Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a great message and actually a very important point. I think that would be worrying a lot of homestay owners. Thank you so much, Shimaji.
Thanks
Enjoy
so
your
much for having
travels
me.
and see you at Salban.
Yes, yes. Okay,
Bye
Bhavna.
bye.
Okay, bye.
The mud house that we built was built completely with local help, with their knowledge. We just put in a few, improvements to strengthen the structure and strengthen the bricks. But it was completely mud. It was built completely by hand, and it's a wonderful example of how structure can be compared to what the concrete structures of today are turning out to be.
We try to rekindle the simple pleasures of life, like waking to the song of bird call, taking a walk to the nearby lake, chatting around the bonfire, and eating home cooked meals using natural produce.
It's just not that we collect local varieties of grains or dals, but we also collect wild species of trees, herbs, shrubs. Our village neighbors helped us build our mud cottage. All we did was add in a little of our innovations and built a mud structure in just 7 days, which was miraculous.